welcome to Placement Talks. I'm your host Disha, and today we have with us Deepakshi. Hi, Deepakshi.
Hi Disha, how are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I'm great as well.
First of all, congratulations. Like getting a super dream offer is literally every student's dream. Congratulations.
Thank you, Disha. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Okay, can we start with your introduction first?
Yeah, absolutely, sure. I'm Deepakshi. I'm from Palampur, Himachal Pradesh, and currently I'm in my fourth year at VIT Chennai. I'm from the electronics and computer batch, and a little bit about me. I like reading. I'm into web development a lot, and I also have a keen interest in sports and swimming.
Okay, that's great. Can we know more about your company?
Sure. I'd like to point out that I got a PPO offer from J.P. Morgan as well, and then a full-time offer from Morgan Stanley. And since Morgan Stanley was a slot one super dream company, that is the choice that I went with. Morgan Stanley is basically an American investment bank, and it's also a global financial services company. In terms of the technologies, they claim that they focus on improving their tech stack more and more every day in order to provide best banking services to everyone around. Yeah. And in India, they have three locations: a newly formed Hyderabad, Bangalore, and in Mumbai.
Okay, so Morgan Stanley is, of course, a great company. Can you tell us about the application and selection process of Morgan Stanley?
Sure. So I'll keep it according to what we get in our university. For VIT specifically, they come for UG in a package of 25.3 LPA for the position of technological analyst. And they come here for two tracks. So the first one is the application development track, and the second one is enterprise engineering track. And they come for internship only, as well as full-time plus internships. The application process in VIT is the first one. The first factor is your branch. So all CSE branches with every specialization, IT and ECM are the branches that are eligible for this company. The CGPA requirement is pretty low actually. It's kept at 7 CGPA or 80 percentile if it is in terms of percentile. But when the first shortlisting happens, only around 300 to 400 students get shortlisted. So according to me, I believe these are the top 15 to 20 students in each branch, or maybe more. Like for my branch, the top 89 students were shortlisted according to their CGPA. Other than that, that's how the application is when it comes to the university.
Okay, so after the application and selection process, how were the interview rounds?
Yeah. So after the first shortlisting, actually, they have a pre-placement talk only for the shortlisted students as of, and the pre-placement talk is very simple. It's just about what the company is, what the core values are, and a little bit about the technologies that they use. So mark that you should actually always attend the pre-placement talk and make a little bit of notes about it. So this is something I'll mention later during my interview. So after the first round, the first pre-placement talk, you actually have a coding competition. But before that, you need to fill in the application in their online career platform as well. That's a requirement for every shortlisted that is giving the test. For both the tracks, app development and enterprise engineering, the test is slightly different. I'll focus over here on enterprise engineering because that's the one that I gave. So enterprise engineering is more on the end of the tools and the websites or the programs that they use in order to take care of the firm's the firm's platforms or the databases or operating systems that they use. So application track is obviously different, but this is the one that I applied for. So I think the test for EE track, enterprise engineering track, is of 2 hours, and it consists of three sections. The first one is a aptitude MCQ section that has 10 aptitude questions, and these questions are usually related on some quant, some time and work, probability, PNC, so stuff related to that. The second is a debugging section where you have seven code snippets, and you need to find the logical error or syntax error or compilation error that's causing it and rectify it at there itself. And the third section is a coding question section that has three questions. So the questions are usually, I'd say, medium to hard level only. But yeah, like if you have practiced enough, those are usually the questions that you would have already seen somewhere, but modified a little bit so as it requires you to use some of your brain power.
Right. So cracking a good placement is really, really hard and it's a long process. So can we know what was your strategy to crack a super dream company?
Yeah, I mean, strategy as of that, I'd like to say that I believe in working a lot. So as of that, my strategy was to get into a super dream, obviously. As I said, like before even the company had come, I got the PPO for JP Morgan. But yeah, my goal was to at least push myself and see where else I can get into. And for Morgan Stanley specifically, I'd say the fact that I had already interned at a financial company was a big plus. So like they knew that I had done 2 month internship somewhere that is a financial company before. And apart from that, cracking it, the main focus was on just practice. You had to practice a lot of questions, a lot of DSA in order to get into that. Talking about the further process of the interview, after the first round, there was of those 400 students, around 22 were shortlisted for the the second round. That was a technical interview round. So that round focused on mostly DSA. The interviewer first, asked about me and my resume. She talked about one of my project in very in details, and then we moved on to a little bit of DSA. So she asked me questions focused on bit manipulation and linked list mostly, and then we moved on to a little bit of operating system questions, something related to semaphores and mutexes, and it ended with a little bit more of DSA questions. So after that, on the same day itself, around after 3 or 4 hours, I got another call for the technical round two. So at that point, they had shortlisted further students, but we were not told how many of them. So the technical round two again started with the introduction, and my resume had around 3 to 4 projects that I had mentioned. So this interviewer picked some other project than the last one, and she asked me a little bit of about it. And then we moved on to a system design question. So that's mostly mine was related to designing a Netflix OTT platform as it is, using oops concepts and a little bit of data structures that I could use in there. Then we moved on to a little bit of again DSA. She asked me about linked lists, some medium level DSA questions. You can easily find them on Lead Code or Geeks for Geeks as well. And yeah, that was my second technical interview. And that day, a few of the students did get called for the HR round, but I didn't. So yeah, my first reaction was, okay, maybe I'm not shortlisted for it further, and I just let it go at that moment. So after 5 days, the list for the final round was released, and thankfully my name was in there with the five other people. So from 400 we went to 22, and then five at the end. So After that, the HR interview was actually very interesting. So that was with executive director from Morgan Stanley, and he started with my introduction, and even the entire interview was based only on what I had written in my resume. So he went through it and he asked me questions about the clubs that I was a part of, and he made a lot of situational questions relating to what I would do in terms of any situation that happens in the club, or anything that happened in my internship or something like that. And in the end, he asked me if I had any questions, and my answer, like, I asked him a little bit about the tools that were used at Morgan Stanley in terms of databases and their partnership with other firms such as Microsoft. So this is something that I had listened to during the pre-placement talk, that they had this partnership with Microsoft Azure for their cloud services, and this is something that I had taken from the pre-placement talk and put it there in the HR interview. And yeah, he really liked the fact that I had listened to this during the pre-placement. I was able to know further about it that time. So yeah, after that, yeah, I got selected with a full-time plus internship offer.
Okay, so as you were saying, the DSA and OS are really important. So, what do you think like are nice resources for DSA and OS?
Okay, so personally, I had studied from interviewbit.com. So that site is something that is not really common. Like, yeah, people do study from it, but not everyone, I think, over here knows about it. So the site is interviewbit.com. It's something that has all the topics differently made into sections and divided company wise as well. The other thing is lead code. Obviously, I practice a lot of questions from lead code. I have also seen entire series from YouTube about specific topics that I wasn't sure of. And of course, on the days like before the interviews, I went on Geeks for Geeks, and they have their archives for each and every company. So I went through those questions, what was asked to them, and how the interview was for the people who had written over there.
I think this will be really helpful for all of us to build all our skills. But along with skills, another thing that's important is how we put our skills in the resume. So, how do you think one can build the perfect resume?
Okay, so I think the first thing is to keep your resume to one page at all costs. It shouldn't exceed one page. That is the foremost important thing that you should take care of. The second thing is you should have your projects highlighted in your resume the most. So if you have done some good projects, even if they are not something that you've done alone, you something that you've done with your team in some J component, even that is something you should put it in your resume if the project is really good. And do mention the tech stack or what your project does in journal, maybe just one or two lines, so that they know what technologies you do know. Your experiences is other thing that you should actually mention, and I would like to point out that any ambassador program is not an internship, so do not write that in your internship, because a lot of people do that. Do not mention that. That is your extracurriculars that you're doing, not an internship. Any certifications, any genuine certifications that you've done should also be mentioned. So this does not include any course or Udemy courses, anything that you specifically from some big firm or even small firm that you have done. Like, even our university is providing certifications at the moment from NASCOM or Azure or AWS. Those are the ones that you should put, that you gave a genuine exam for, not something from Coursera or Udemy. That doesn't strike out. Yeah, I think these 3 points are the ones that I'd like to mention specifically.
So, my last question is what advice do you want to give to your juniors and our audience?
Okay, so I'd say the first step is just practice, practice, practice. You need to practice a lot of DSA when going into for a super dream company, because most of the students do not make it past the first round itself. So their DSA is the prime factor that comes into play. uh, do not hesitate to reach out to your seniors at all. We like every one of us who's placed will help you out no matter what. And I'd also say ki, other than DSA, do have a good stack, do have a good overall understanding of whatever you study. So I'd say that, you know, this, if even if it doesn't help you in the first round, it will help you make a very good impression in your second round. You will have a lot of things to discuss with your interviewer. So even when they ask you questions, you can point out, oh, you know, I've worked in Express and this is what I learned there, and yeah, you, what you're saying, you know, kind of makes sense to me because I know what this is. So that thing makes a very big impact on them. So that's something you should, you know, take care of it. And the only thing I have to say is maintain a good CGPA. Anything above 9 is very good. You just have to maintain it there, and practice a lot. That is the main side I'd like to point out.
Thank you so much for your time. It was lovely meeting you, and I'm sure everyone is going to love this episode. And we all learned a lot today. Thank you so much, and all the very best.
Thank you, Disha, and thank you to everyone who's watching this. Thank you.